Hold on. I want to show the Rolly, Aaron.
I'm kidding. He wasn't fucking Rolly. That's for rich people, not for us. It's dumb. You know it's dumb. You just want it and you do it. Money is a game. And if you were going to play a game, one of the first questions you would ask players like me and Jose, who have played the game successfully, is what are the rules and how do you win? Money should be a fun thing to talk about, bro.
Novello, I want to pay you a compliment, bro. You're looking buffer.
Thanks,
now.
brother. Let's go. Lots of time, energy, and effort. You want to play games that if you wait, you win, because nobody's willing to play those games. It's a shame that people don't do seminars that fuck up.
You want to pay attention to this, guys.
The chat is disabled. We want to make sure that the chat is enabled so we can participate with all these lovely, fine human beings. What's up, JP? Who else we got? Kevin Sandoval's in the house. What's up, brother? So I want you guys, as we are getting ready to enable this chat, start to think about concepts you have about money. Start to think about concepts you have about investing. Think about what your family of origin taught you about money. My family of origin, despite being kind and nice, were doing the best they could under the circumstances. Yo, we got this shit working. Clap it up for the sexy Mexican, Mr. Jose Luis Morales. He figured that shit out. Let's go.
All right, everybody, my job is done.
What I was saying is drop in the comments, the sexy Mexi, let's go. Drop in the comments some of the concepts that you learned from your family of origin about money. I know about me, I learned things like money doesn't grow on trees. And a penny saved is a penny earned, which is bullshit because it's just a penny. And eat all the food on your plate, right? And these are all concepts about scarcity and there not being enough. So Dropnik says, I learned how to spend money. Okay, that's cool. Who else has some concepts that you learned from your family of origin? Or maybe your family didn't talk about money. Maybe they didn't have any, so they didn't talk about it. Or it's like a taboo topic, can't afford it. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's interesting. That's a very interesting mindset, right? That's for rich people, not for us. JP, I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it. Do what you love. Yeah. Eat everything on your plate. Kids are starving in China. Now notice, isn't this interesting? Even though we didn't grow up in the same houses, even though we didn't have the same parents, save it for a rainy day, we were still getting the same type of programming. Because remember that your bodies are the hardware, your brain is the software. And 65% of us grew up in environments where we lived paycheck to paycheck. That was my experience. Okay. So I heard all of these things, about money, and it's very similar themes. Doesn't grow on trees. Money doesn't come fast. Eliseo wrote that, right? Eat all the food on your plate. Kids are starving. But all these, if you are aware, are really concepts about scarcity and there not being enough. And that can end up affecting you. Now, on the other end, Drobnik's writing that what he heard is spend it all because you can't take it with you. So as a younger person, his people that are doing a lot of the programming are saying, hey, spend it all because you can't take it with you. So on both ends, that can end up affecting your relationship with money. Okay. So on one end, because remember, building wealth, it's a 3-step process, 3-tiered. The first is earning it. Now, if you plug in with us and you ride with us at the Elite Builders, we're going to pour into you and teach you exactly what to say and how to say it, the activities and the kind of disciplines with consistency that were required in order to earn your unfair share of money. That's great.
Hold on. I want to show the Rolly, Aaron. I'm
kidding. He wasn't fucking Rolly. Let's go. Hey, but I'll talk to you about how I followed the rules on getting that, right? Because there's 3 rules if you're going to do something stupid. The first is if you can't pay for it twice in cash, you can't afford it. The second is it's got to come out of cash flow, not earned income. And the third is that I got to go find another one once it sells, right? It doesn't compound over time. So what we need to be doing is learning how to use our time to raise money and then use that money to buy back time. This is just a game. Money is a game. And if you were going to play a game, one of the first questions you would ask players like me and Jose, who have played the game successfully, is what are the rules and how do you win? Because if I don't know the rules, I can't play the game properly and therefore I can't win. Okay. So that's the intention today, is me and Jose are going to be going over like our journeys from a financial perspective. And we're at different kind of places chronologically. Jose's a little bit younger than me, not much. I'm 42, he's 36. And we each took different kind of paths to financial freedom and independence. They both work though. So we'll be going over those different strategies and techniques that we've utilized. The other thing that we'll be doing as well is going over a vehicle that we are now both a part of that trumps the investments that we've made, that will outpace cash flow wise, millions of dollars worth of invested capital in assets, whether they be, hard assets like real estate or paper assets like equities and stuff. So drop in the comments and the chat if you are ready to receive this information. Let me see some fires. Let me see some exclamation points. Let's get this party started right. Let's go on this Friday.
The music, Novello, the music.
Oh, hold on, my bad. Dang, bro. Wait. I need the music while we're doing this. 1 second. Let's end the show. Let's get back to the music. Oh man, here it comes. Money should be a fun thing to talk about, bro. It should not be something that's like, that's taboo. I don't want it. It's fun, dude. Right? When you learn how to play this game, I promise you, it'll be super fun.
Novello, I want to pay you a compliment, bro. You're looking buffer.
Thanks,
now.
Brother. Let's go.
That's crazy.
Lots of time, energy, and effort. So, all right, cool. So now I'm going to share my screen. What I'll do is I'll just share with you briefly, like my experience. So, my family of origin, they're super nice people, as I was mentioning. I don't think they ever made more than I don't think they ever made more than $50,000 to $60,000 a year. So I would. Oh, that's right. I do love rev share. So I don't think they ever made more than $50,000, $60,000 a year. So I watched them growing up. Money was always an issue. I watched them fight about it. I would watch my mom lie to my dad about how much my sneakers cost because she couldn't tell me no when I wanted, Jordans or whatever. And I watched it just be this like really point of contention. And 58% of 50%, 51% of first marriages end in divorce, but 58% of those end because of financial reasons. So I remember watching that and having a couple of experiences in my life where I just made this internal decision like, hey, I never want that to be my experience, nor the experience of anybody that is in proximity to me or that is dependent on me, right? So I didn't know what the way was, but I was either going to find the way or make the way. So I began to study, as you can see, I like to read. I began to study wealth, right? And that's the first question that I want you guys to ask yourself if you're taking notes. Am I a serious student of wealth, right? Do I read books, listen to podcasts on a regular basis? Am I constantly consuming information? I've probably, no lie, not like an exaggeration, have read 50 plus books on the topic of investing and financial, like kind of stability, freedom, independence, things of that nature. So if I was to look at your library, would I say, hey, are you a serious student of this topic? Because all the information's out there, right? And it's relatively free. So I started to really study obsessively about building wealth, and I had a tendency to gravitate towards real estate. So I got my real estate license thinking, okay, what better way to learn about the vehicle of investing in real estate than to help people buy and sell it, right? So, and what I quickly began to realize, that's me and my lovely, beautiful wife, Carla. Follow her on Instagram, Elite Ladies Builders, let's go. What I realized very quickly about real estate when I got in the game is first I had to learn how to sell real estate in high volume. I had to learn how that's a combination of the skills that are required: prospect, lead, follow-up, go on appointments, negotiate deals, and then systems, right, on processing things that allowed me to get that up to 200 transactions a year, get over 100 a year for 10 years in a row. But I found myself at probably 37 years old with a meaningful net worth, a couple $1 million, but I didn't have a lot of cash flow. So I didn't feel wealthy, and I felt as though like I was still, having to hustle at like a super high level. So I realized that what I was doing was not in alignment with my goals and objectives. The information that I was being told, like, pay my house off and put all my money in retirement accounts. And I heard Grant Cardone say something which really blew my mind. He said, doing that is another form of poverty. And I was like, what did he just say? But the truth is that I didn't have access to either one of those things. I can't take my wife on a trip with the money in the house, the equity in the house. I can't pay off, can't pay for my kids' private school with the retirement fund, right? So then I began to alter kind of strategy and approach, and that's radically changed things, right? Went from that experience to now, financial freedom and independence, where assets pay for living expenses. So This slide that you see up in front of you, real estate is a wonderful mechanism to raise cash, but it doesn't compound. So if you notice, I got to take time to go get money, and then and people stop there, right? They take time to go get money, but what you need to be doing is taking money and getting back time, going back in the opposite direction. But real estate flows this way: time, money, then I got to go spend time to get more money, time to get more money, time to get more money. There's no compounding component. Okay. Now, we need to get back time. Okay. Because the average human gets 27,550 days on planet Earth. It's about average, about 75 years in the industrialized world. Women have a tendency a little bit more than men, but that's what's average. I'm 42, so I've used more than half, right? Whatever's left, I'm going to sleep through a third of it. When I went through this exercise, it's maybe like 25, 27, 30 years left of waking, breathing, living life. So I need to find vehicles that compound and that allow me to buy back time. In order to buy back time, I can do that in two ways. I either purchase assets that may pay me money, or I hire staff, which is human capital. We're going to focus on this one, which is purchasing assets that make money. Okay. Now, in order to invest, it's always interesting to me that people, they'll want to come to me and Jose and have conversations about, like investing. And I'm always like, well, do you have any money to invest? And it's always like, well, no. It's like, well, then why are we having this conversation? Right? So you have to create margin first in order to invest. And margin is the difference between what you have and what you need. Okay. Now, what margin is with what I have and what I need, there's a spread in between. So in other words, I have more than I need. That's margin. Okay. Now, if you have exactly what you need, right, you make yourself very vulnerable to market gyrations, market corrections, something going on. Now, most people, 60+% of Americans live this way. What they have and what they need are the same. Now, if something happens, like a market changes or revenue changes or whatever, something externally, you're not able to work for a month or whatever, then they have negative margin. And another word for negative margin is debt. Okay. So we need to put ourselves in a situation where we have margin to invest, right? And you can't change what you don't measure. So what I would propose or suggest is writing out monthly personal expenses and business expenses. When me and Carla first started this, we would do that on an Excel spreadsheet. I know Jose Mariela helps him with that. Is really accounting for how much income is coming in and how much income is leaving. Okay. And there should be, again, margin there. Right. The second thing you could do is to list out streams of income. Now, it might only be, residential resale at the moment, but the goal and objective is to get many streams of income, not just one. Because in the military, they say 2 is 1 and 1 is none. Right. So if I have, or if I have 1 of something, I have none. But if I have 2 of something and something goes away, then I'm okay, right? So 2 is 1 and 1 is none. So I want to get multiples. And if you have leftover, again, between personal and business expenses and income, if there's money left over, that's margin. Now the question is what do you do with that? Okay. Well, the first thing you want to do is you want to get out of debt. If you have any revolving debt, that's high interest rate. That would be things like credit card debt. That would be things like, car payment debt. Those are usually higher. And particularly the credit cards are 15, 17, 20%. You want to get rid of that first. So take that margin and you want to start what's called a snowball effect. So let's say you have credit card debt that you have 3 different credit cards. One has the highest interest rate. You take that margin and knock that one out. Then you take whatever the minimum payment was plus the margin and knock the next one out, so on and so forth, right? Because those things eat away your margin and your ability to be able to invest. And I want everybody to hear me. And again, me and Jose are not financial planners, okay? We are not financial kind of professionals. We are individuals that have self-educated ourselves on this process and use it as a mechanism to create financial freedom for ourselves and other people. So, you can do what you want, but this is what I did. And most people, there's 4 things that eat up the majority of their money: housing, transportation, food, and insurance. But 2 of them, the housing and the transportation, almost always have debt associated with them. Plus you add in credit cards, there's not enough money left over to be able to invest. And you have to invest, okay, to keep up with inflation and in order to get additional streams of income. So what you want to do is pay off the highest revolving debt first and then create a snowball effect. Once you pay that off, take whatever that payment was and whatever margin is and attack the next one. You knock it all out. And now you have this additional income that you can use towards investing. The second step is you want to get a reserve, okay? 3 to 6 months of capital that's liquid at all times. Now, Jose, which he'll share with you in his experience, sometimes he wouldn't do that. He would fucking push it all in, live off credit cards for 2 months when he would buy buildings. But I'm telling you, and he will tell you this, it had ramifications on him health-wise. Like he would get headaches. He was stressed the fuck out. He'd have to go to TJ to just find out, make sure he was okay. So some people have a higher tolerance for risk. Jose's tolerance for risk is higher than mine. I would propose, though, that getting 3 to 6 months of liquid capital is a intelligent thing to do, because that will be your buffer so you don't have to go to credit cards if something comes up. Because credit cards have super high interest rates, right? 15, 17%. It's like racketeering. Like it's fucking crazy. It's like loan sharking. And this will make sure that if something does come up, you're okay. Plus, with real estate, I'm aware that usually there's cash spurts, not cash flow. So you want to preserve, if you have a solid month, you make a bunch of money, great. But then the next month might be as strong. But if you have reserves, you're not sweating, right? Now, once we get that 3 to 6 months of reserves. So what do I mean when I say that? So if your personal expenses, let's say, are $5,000 a month, 3 months in reserves would be $15,000, right? Six months in reserves would be $30,000, and you keep it liquid at all times. Now people will be like, well, you could be investing that money. Yeah, I get it. Warren Buffett keeps about $25 billion in cash at all times, or cash equivalents. Now people say, well, you could be getting a return. Yeah, but he owns the largest insurance company in the world. He has to be able to deploy if there's a big, catastrophe, like $5 billion at one time. So what that $25 billion does, it allows him to sleep like a baby at night. And that's what this reserve will allow you to do. Okay. So I wouldn't think about it like, oh, it's not the most efficient use of capital. That's not what it's for. It's for peace of mind. Okay. So once we do the snowball effect, we pay off all of the revolving debt that has high interest rates on it. And then we have the 3 to 6 months of expenses. We've built up now all this money that was going out the window to pay off debt, really to make other people rich. Now it's yours. Plus we have the margin, right? Now we can use all of this capital to actually go buy assets that pay us money. So again, I think people come to this conversation and they'll say, well, let's talk about all the different investment vehicles. And the reason why I wanted to talk to you about this first, because 65% of people don't get this right first. And then they try to look for home runs, grand slams, and then they go broke. Drop in the chat if you know people that invested a bunch of money in crypto and lost their ass. Drop in the chat. Let me see.
I know lots of people, bro.
I know lots of people, because they're looking for a grand slam home run, right? They're not willing. Listen, if you're taking notes, listen to me. You want to play games that if you wait, you win. Because nobody's willing to play those games. Yeah, 175K somebody lost.
Damn.
Yup. So what I'm aware of is that's gambling, guys. That's not investing. That's rolling a fucking dice and praying.
Aaron, give the difference between like what an investment is and what a gambling investment and all that. Because I think once I learned that, I was like, oh, it allowed me to look at investments from a different perspective. You guys want to pay attention to this, guys. Yeah.
So I read a book called What I Learned Losing $1 Million. And it's interesting because people should do seminars. It's a shame that people don't do seminars that fuck up. Because if somebody did a seminar, there's two things you can learn from people: how to do something and how not to do something. And they're both equally as valuable. So if there was somebody doing seminars like, hey, here's how I screwed my marriage up, me and Jose would be in the front row taking notes, because I don't want to fucking do that. So this guy lost $1 million in 4 months in like the 80s. Okay. Which that was a lot of money in the 80s. It's probably like, $8 million now. And he was a commodities trader. And what happened is that it was during like the roaring kind of time with equities. So everything he touched worked. And what he learned is he confused luck with skill. Most people do that. How many people know somebody that were flipping houses in 2006 and 5 and 4 and thought they were a fucking genius, and then they lost everything? They confused luck with skill. Same thing with the crypto people. You just got fucking lucky. You confuse luck with skill. The second thing that I took from that book, which was really interesting, is that there's a million ways to make money. There's only a handful of ways to lose it. And almost all of them are psychological. So if you can understand that, you can stay away from them. And that'll increase the chances that you won't lose money. Because if you lose 50 grand, you have whatever it is has to go up 100% just for you to get back to even. Right? So the goal is not to lose. Now, what can help, and this was cool when I had this conversation with Jose, is understanding what words mean. And that's the other thing I took from this book, because I think that the reason why we don't produce outcomes that we want is because we're not clear on what words mean. Once we're clear, it makes it easier. So the first definition is investing. Investing by definition is where the first goal and objective is to preserve capital, not to make money. So listen to what I said. The preservation of capital is number one, meaning I'm not going to lose money. Then my expectation is over an extended period of time, I will receive that money back in the form of rents, dividends, or royalties. Okay. So by definition, investment, is it a long-term or is it a short-term? It's a long-term thing. Okay. By definition.
Now, the cool thing about it is that whenever you're looking at different so-called investments, if you understand the definition of the word, you can actually classify where it fits, if it's actually an investment or not. Keep going over the definitions.
Yeah. Now, the second definition of investing is speculating. Now, speculating comes from the word spectare in Latin. It means to see. So the only return on a speculation is some vision that you see in the future, and it's only if it goes up in value. So you're not going to receive money back in the form of rents, dividends, or royalties. Okay. The next is trading. Trading is where you try to buy for $1 and sell for 10. So wholesaling is not investing, it's trading. You're buying for one thing and selling for another. Okay. There's a bid and an ask, and there's a spread, and you're making money on the spread. Okay. The next is betting. Now, betting is interesting. Betting is where there's a wager made on a particular outcome. And if that outcome happens, then you'll receive whatever the wager was for, right? And then the next one is gambling. And gambling is actually not about anything other than entertainment. And so it's not about being right. It's a cousin of betting, but it's not about being right. It's really about being entertained. And the cost for the entertainment is the wager. So now that you're clear on that, it's interesting. Now, when I look at something, you're like, oh yeah, like, let's take, what's it called as a good example, like crypto. It's like, well, they're like, yeah, I'm going to invest in crypto. It's like, are you? Is that a long-term play? And are you going to receive money in the form of rents, dividends, or royalties over time? Or are you betting that this is going to work out and it's going to happen, right? Are you trading? Are you trying to buy for $1, sell for 10? Right? Am I gambling because it's a little entertainment? It brings me a little like juice, like checking it all the time and fucking seeing what's happening. So once I'm clear on these definitions, as Jose was saying, now that allows me to make more educated choices and decisions about where to put money, right? Because I want the places that I'm investing in and putting money to be like indestructible, with a super high degree of probability that we're going to preserve capital, number one, and that it's going to be returned to me in the form of rents, dividends, or royalties over an extended period of time. And again, that's a long-term game. Okay. And everybody wants to play short games. So if you play games that are long-term, you'll win over time. Make sense? Freaking love this definition of investing. Mind-blowing. Yeah, good. I'm glad your mind's blown. That's the intention. So, and this is not information, by the way. I'm sure there's some very educated people on this call. Went to college, maybe have master's degrees, fucking summa cum laude, magna cum laude. You know what's crazy? Nobody ever had this fucking conversation with you. Now, what's interesting about that, some could argue, is that's by design. Right? And we could get into a nuanced conversation about that. What's fascinating to me is in the most like capitalistic country on the planet, our level of financial literacy is directly correlated with our success in a capitalistic society, and yet most people have no financial literacy. That's pretty unbelievable and wild. So now that we're clear on definitions, we're clear on, let me share my screen again. And let's say we've paid off the revolving debt. So we have some more margin. We have 3 to 6 months of expenses, and now we have extra money to invest. So where are we going to put it? Again, me and Jose are not financial planners. I'm just sharing with you what I did. Whatever you choose to do is up to you. So now that you have money to invest, I would propose that there's 3 places that you can put it. One is in equities, right? Would be like stocks, ETFs, index funds. Those are all kind of different. And I'll explain to you briefly the difference. You could put it into real estate, right? Or you could put it into businesses. Okay. But I really only have 3 choices. Now, if you have money, let's say you have margin and it's piled up, the reason why you're not deploying it is because you don't have a plan. You haven't decided which one you want to do of these or what ratio you want to do them. But keep in mind, guys, you can't avoid risk. Listen to what I'm saying to you. You cannot avoid risk. You think in your mind that you can avoid it. You can't. Leaving money in the bank is risky. The reason why it's risky is because every currency ever on planet Earth always goes down to 0. That's what's happened over human history. They all do. And what's happening with inflation is it's losing value, 6 to 7%, 4 to 5, 6% each year each day, each week, each month that you leave it there. So that's a risk. Now, investing has risk associated with it. So the deal is you can't avoid the risk. You think you can, you can't. You get to choose which risks that you take. Okay. So this is the kind of options as I see them that you have at your disposal. Now I have a decision to make. Once I'm clear on these different places where I can put capital to invest margin, to buy back time, right? And again, investing is I'm going to receive money back in the form of rents, dividends, or royalties over an extended period of time, not quick, like, get rich quick schemes. Now I have another decision to make. You can either be active, and here's what active means in each one. So active in equities, it means you pick your own stock. Personally, I think that's fucking dumb. Most of you guys have no idea what you're doing. You don't read income and balance statements. You're just guessing. You're either betting or gambling. Okay. The second is you can physically own the asset of real estate. You go out, take the debt, you manage your own real estate. That's what Jose's done. A lot of his investing has been in that. The third is that you can invest in businesses and have an active role in the kind of running and management of that business. So if you went out and bought like a laundromat, but you like actively manage it and stuff, then that would be what that is. Okay. Now, personally, this is my philosophy, and this is just mine. Okay. I'm aware me and Jose have gotten to the same destination utilizing different approaches. This is what I've used. I personally do not think that you should be active in any of these things until the income that you earn from your investments is greater than the income that you earn in your job. The reason is because I see they end up being distractions, and there's nothing else that I can invest in that would have the level of return as my earned income. When I first started selling real estate, I made $13,000. At the height of selling real estate, I made $1.4 million. Like there's nothing else that you could do that could grow that much. When Jose, he didn't sell his first home for 6 months. 6 months. And now he consistently grosses $1.8 to $2.1 million a year, like every year. So there's nothing else that you can invest in that would have a bigger kind of return than that. That's what I've done. Okay. Jose's taken a more active role. He can talk to you about that. Or you could be passive, which is the approach that I've taken, right? Which is instead of being an active participant, I'm a passive participant. The way you would do that with equities is index funds or ETFs. There's all different reasons. I can give you 5 fucking books that I've read as to why that tilts the odds in your favor and increases the probability that you'll win over time. With real estate, you can either do REITs, which are publicly or non-publicly traded, which is where you have an operating partner that runs the real estate. That's another way to do it. I just bought a short-term rental, but I have an operating partner who runs it, so I'm not running it. Or you could do real estate syndications, which I've done a lot of, which is where you find someone who is a professional real estate investor. They do a deal. You just lend them the money. You participate. They give you, distributions out of cash flow, and then you participate when they sell or refinance the property. And then the same with businesses. So I have a business interest in a business currently, but I am not the operating person that runs that business. Okay. There's other people that run it. Right. So I can either be active or I can be passive. So let's now, hold on. stop the share. So I've shared a lot of information at one time. So drop in the comments if you have any questions or concerns. And then I'm curious, Jose, as we have this conversation, because I know you're taking notes and I'm aware that you understand everything that we're talking about. And we've had these triangulating ideas of believable people and thoughtful disagreement. So talk a little bit about what you're aware of as we have this conversation and the approach that you took.
So I think for me, what was really helpful is just the definitions of what is investing, what is gambling, what is betting. Because if I'm looking at it from that perspective, if somebody comes to me and somebody says, hey, I've got this great investment, I start asking them questions about the investment, then I'm able to really determine which category it falls under. Like, for example, like I never invested in crypto. I didn't look at it like as a way of receiving dividends or a way of capital preservation. And I, quite frankly, I just didn't understand it. And like one of my rules was, if I don't really understand it, then I'm not gonna get into it. I'm not saying that it was bad or it's bad. I'm just saying for me, that wasn't the understanding of definitions really helped me. The other thing, and this is where Aaron and I had thoughtful disagreements on, was the passive versus active. So I have grown a $14 million real estate portfolio now. It amounts to
he tried not to smile when he said that.
Yeah, so $14 million real estate portfolio. It's all based out of California. It's 57 units. 37 of them are independently owned by me and my wife, and then 20 of them are owned in a form of a partnership. And I guess I was blessed because my dad growing up invested in real estate. So he taught me some things about investing in real estate, but it also was a negative because I also like grew up thinking that actively investing in real estate was like really the only way to earn residual income. Then I started masterminding with Aaron, and I realized that by actively investing in real estate, it sometimes deviated me from selling real estate in high volume. Do I regret it? No, because all the real estate portfolio has gone up. But sometimes I noticed that like Aaron didn't go through some of the things that I went through when I went all in, put stuff on credit cards because I had to buy these properties at that specific time. So the point that I just want to make is there's different investment opportunities. You guys just have to find the one that fits what your goals are. There's the investing route. There's a lot more things that come up with that route. And then there's the passive route, and there's a lot less things, and you can still receive some of the benefits of the real estate. And then, and this is something that Aaron and I will get into, there's a third way of earning residual income that once Aaron and I found out about it, we were like, what? You mean I don't have to invest $3, $4, $5 million, like actively manage, deal with tenants' toilets, or I don't have to invest $1 million and get a 5 or 6% return? You mean I can just trade some time and earn additional income? That's when we were like, these are good. This is better.
That's exactly right.
But we had to go through these in order to get to these. The benefit that all of you guys have is that you guys can go through these if you want, or you can just get the shortcut and be like, like there's actually a better way to earn residual.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the combination is like the way, right? So the combination is to use real estate as a mechanism to raise cash, and then take that cash, I would say 30 to 40% of everything you're earning, put it into things that pay you money, right? Whether they be the different vehicles that we're talking about. And then simultaneously, this other vehicle, through EXP, that's available, spending 10 to 15% of your time on that. Because what I'm aware of is me and Jose have both invested copious, which is a fancy word for a lot of.
Yeah.
A lot of financial resources, like $4 or $5 million between the two of us, into real estate investments. And what the vehicle via EXP is pumping out is greater or equal to the amount of residual that we receive from them in 1 year with no money. So I think that's really the way. It's like, it's both, right?
Yeah. And it's a way of compounding it to a much shorter compression. The other thing that has helped me, as it relates to business, is understanding this concept. And Aaron is the one that taught me this concept. Like, and I asked somebody this yesterday. I said, what's the definition or what determines if you really have a business or if you have a job? And the two things that determine that is, can the business run without you? And that was really big for me, because if it can't run without you, it's not a business, it's a job. Right now, my real estate company cannot run without me, meaning I do not have a real estate business. I have a job. The second thing is, can it grow without you? Meaning, if I'm not there, can that grow without me? My real estate company cannot grow without me. That's one of the things with EXP, that it can run without you and grow without you, which is one of the main compounding mechanisms. So let's do it, man.
And everything has risk. Awesome. So drop in the comments if you have any questions for us with regards to what we've covered so far, whether it be, what to do with margin, how to get margin, the different types of vehicles that you have at your disposal and where to put it and things of that nature. Maybe some limiting beliefs that you have around it, because I'm aware that this can seem like a super overwhelming thing, but I need you guys to understand, when I first started this, I started investing $50 a month. I became obsessed at 26 years old. Again, like, I didn't want the experience that my parents were in from a financial perspective, and all of their friends were in from a financial perspective. And I read a book called Smart Couples Finish Rich. And in that book, they talked about, investing in like index funds and stuff. But when I called up the companies, you had to have a minimum of $3,000 to invest. And I didn't have $3,000, but they agreed that if you gave them $50 a month, they would waive that minimum and you could just start. So that's how it started. And then it went from 50. And then as I earned more money, I bumped it up to 100, and then to 500, and then to 1,000, and then to 2,000, and so on and so forth. So, it can seem overwhelming, but it's, we drastically underestimate what we can do in a year, and we drastically overestimate what we could do in a year, and drastically underestimate what we can do in a decade. Right. And I think that that's very, very true.
I agree. 100%.
So, and then I'm curious, Jose, for you, because, this idea of like stress. So I know that at a very young age, everybody like claps and applauds and they're like, holy shit, he owns 59 doors. Like, that's crazy. I'm aware that they came with a lot of stress, bro. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think you're right. You have to know people's natural disposition. So you're someone whose risk tolerance is higher than mine in that area. And I've grown since, so now I'm taking more like calculated risks. I think what's also true is you had a willingness to let go of money quicker than I did. I've gotten much better at that over time. But talk a little bit about that particular route.
So people ask me sometimes, like, what motivates you, or like, how can you produce the outcomes that you've produced? And I look back and I think about it, and a lot of times was I put myself in situations where I had to produce. Like, I'll give you guys an example. Like, when I bought my second real estate property, I maybe had about $30,000 in the bank, and it was a short sale that one of my good friends, Vicente, was the listing agent on. And I knew that a short sale, it usually took anywhere from 3 to 6 months to negotiate. Keep in mind that in order to buy it, because I already owned one property, I needed 20% down at that time, or so I thought I needed 20% down, because I was going to be investing in the property. So I got into escrow with only $30,000 down. And I knew that in the next 3 to 6 months, I had to come up with the remaining 50,000 plus money to fix it up. So what ended up happening is, over the next 3 to 6 months, at that time, I had some of the best months of selling real estate, because I committed to something and then I had to figure out how to get the money. Turns out that like maybe like a week before the close of escrow, some of my escrows got delayed, and I didn't have the funds to close escrow. So I had to do some things where I was like, hey, I'll trade you escrows. Like, I have these escrows that are closing next week, Mr. Broker. Can you pay me in advance on the money. Then when my escrow is closed, we'll take it. I ended up with having just enough money to close on it, but then I didn't have any money to fix it up. So what I did is I ended up getting all these credit cards, ended up racking up $30,000-$40,000 worth of credit card debt to fix it up. And then I ended up renting out the properties and collecting positive cash flow. But now I was $30,000 in debt. So now I had to work again to get rid of that $30,000 in debt. And once I paid off that $30,000 in debt, I was like, oh my God, there's another opportunity that's going to be coming on the market. The next one was a probate. And I knew it was coming on the market before it came, but they were still in the process of getting court authorization. So once again, I knew it was coming. I knew I wanted to be the buyer for it. So once again, I went into like this little mode of like, I got to save up money again to buy the next one. So what ended up happening is a lot of the times I didn't have the money or it wasn't the right timing. It created a lot of like pressure, and that pressure ended up having manifestations. There was times, and I think this is the first time I ever shared this, but there was times where I thought I was going to have like a freaking like a stroke. And I would go to the doctor and the doctor would look at me and they would tell me, you're as healthy as a horse. And then I'd go over and get a second opinion. I'd be like, no, he can't be fucking right. Like, dude, like I have like this tension. I have these headaches and I can't like get rid of it. Like what, there's something going on and I don't know what it is. Go get a second opinion. The guy goes, you're healthier than a horse. And I'm just like, nah, you're wrong. So I go to another one and the doctor tells me, look, do you deal with any stress? And I go, yeah, my job is pretty stressful. I deal with like all these investing things. And there was a time where I didn't have much leverage, meaning like I didn't have the right people working for me. I had all these rental properties. I was doing the bookkeeping. I was going to the bank and it was just overwhelming. And the doctor tells me, he's like, look, you're very healthy. The only thing that is wrong with you is that you have a lot of stress and you got to stop thinking about it. I'm like, what do you mean stop thinking about it? Like, how do I just stop thinking about it? So then I just started like, learning different techniques. I started finding better people to help me. I started delegating a lot more things and I started just focusing more on myself. But when a lot of people look at what I have done, like the 57 rental units, and they're like, man, I want to be that. Sometimes I tell people, hey guys, there's easier ways to get to where I'm at without having to go through everything that I went through, realizing that sometimes the path that I took wasn't necessarily the best path. It got me to the solution, but there's easier ways of doing it now looking back at it, basically.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that me and Jose would thoughtfully disagree about because he was there doing all his deals. And I remember I was telling him like, hey man, I'm doing these syndications. And immediately he's like, nope, gotta go. Talk to you later. Bye. Oop, hang up.
Well, the way I would look at it is I would be like, why would I get a 6% return where I can get a 15% return over here? What I didn't realize is that 15% return came with a lot more issues than that 6% return. That 6% return was I dump it and I get a residual stream of income. There was properties that I bought, like the big apartment complex. I actually lost money for a couple of years before it became
lots of money, bro.
Before it became positive. So like I would invest the money and then I'd have to keep investing into renovating it. With that apartment, there was 25 units and I think I drastically underestimated how much it would cost to fix up that building, how much it would cost to get that building in a nice condition. I was used to fixing up a single family residence for $30,000 to $40,000. Imagine having 25 of those units that needed some repair.
That's right. Yeah. And while he's going through all of that and COVID happens and all this other stuff, like I'm just getting distributions and I'm not having to do any of that. So again, I think this is good because there's different strokes for different folks. And just like in that book, it said there's a million ways to make money. There's only a handful of ways to lose it. And most of them are psychological. So first, what I need is I need to get a very clear picture of the landscape. The real deal is real businesses are in the purpose of making profit. That's their goal and objective. You should think about yourself and your family as a business. If you have two people earning income, one person earning income, the income's flowing in. The goal and objective is to have enough income left over after you live to invest so you can buy assets that pay you money, whatever those assets end up being. Because the truth is if you just saved and invest 30 to 40% of everything you're earning every year, I don't care what you invest in, you're going to be super wealthy. Okay. You'll be top 0.1% of Americans as far as like net worth is concerned. So first I have to understand the big picture. I got to get clear on why freedom is important, because I want time freedom and location freedom. Okay. I want to be anywhere on planet Earth with a portable stream of income that follows me around. And then I pick my vehicles, whatever those vehicles are. Let's say I choose to be an active investor. Great, do that. Get proximity to people who know how to do that, know what you're getting into, fine. Put 20 to 30% down on everything, unless you get creative, and you can talk to Jose about how to get creative. But if you don't want to be creative, put a lot down and it'll cash flow in any market and you'll be fine, right? But pick your vehicles, because if you don't have a strategy or if you don't have a plan, what will happen is money will pile up and you won't do anything with it. It'll just sit there. And you can't do that because we're in an environment in which inflation is running rampant, and it's a thief. It steals your purchasing power. I was at I did an event in Chicago, and with our partner Sohail Saladin, big ups Sohail, $1 million producer. He's an elite builder, baby. Let's go. He was showing me around the town. We went to this really cool park, and they had ice cream there. And, they had little strawberry shortcakes and little ice cream cones and stuff. And I literally remember as a kid, when the ice cream truck would come around, I would ask my mom for 50 cents, because for 50 cents, I could pretty much get whatever I wanted. And if she gave me $1, I was like balling that day. I could get like the super duper sundae and shit. Every single one of those were $5 or $6 or more. And I thought to myself, fuck, that's inflation, bro. And nobody can help stop that. Inflation's always going to be around. That's why houses used to be fucking $50,000, whatever it is, like 40 years ago. And now the average house is $500,000. It's inflation. It's the same reason why a car used to be $8,000 and now entry level is fucking $40,000, $30,000. That's inflation.
People ask me all the time, they're like, Aaron, how are you on all of these different social media platforms all at the same time, all at once? I can't get away from you. The truth is that I have a strategic partner that helps me with this. They're the folks over at EXP Creative. And they not only send me the ideas, they also do all the editing and posting. So what looks like it takes hundreds of hours per month to do is really only taking about 8 hours per month. So if you're interested in finding out some more information about EXP Creative, DM me the word social.
The only way that you can protect yourself from the thief of inflation is to invest money. So it's not an option to do it or not. Okay? You can't avoid risk. You owe it to yourself and your family to educate yourself enough, or to get proximity to people so you can deploy capital. Because if you're not, then your purchasing power is going to go down dramatically as time progresses. I have people in my life that are awesome, hardworking people, salt of the earth type people, work 6 days a week. They're not schlubs. They're not, not working. They've never invested money. And what I've watched is their purchasing power drop dramatically over the last 30 years. I've watched them have to lower their lifestyle as a result of that. And I've also watched that their life become more difficult as time progresses. Because in order to participate in the bounty that is American capitalism, you have to invest money. If you don't invest money, you don't participate in it. That's just the way it is. Okay.
And then if you guys are looking for like an active way of investing in real estate, there's a lot of things that I've learned along the years. Reach out, like join one of the masterminds that we have. And I'm happy to kind of share with you, because in owning 57 units, I've learned quite a bit about investing in real estate. And I'm happy to kind of share with you guys some of the things that I've learned. So if anybody's ever interested, just reach out to me and we can work something out where you can learn some of the things that we've done to actively invest into real estate as well.
That's right. And then I'm going to drop somebody, Laura asked like about systems that we've used. So I'm going to drop in the chat. My wife, Carla, she's been with me for all 2,000 transactions that we've done. She's the systems genius. She created a course that walks you through all of our workflows and, what we do to process all those transactions. And I'll drop it in the chat so you can check that out. Hold on. But it's I want you to understand, like it used to be the duty and the obligation of corporations to take care of your family in retirement. What happened in the 90s is they created the, hold on, that's Carla. They created the Roth IRA. And what corporations did is they shifted all the responsibility to the individuals with no training, no background. They're like, okay, now your retirement's your responsibility. Okay. And it's not a defined benefit plan like it used to be. It used to be they guaranteed you a certain amount of money for the rest of your life. Now what it is is it's based on what you contribute. So they've abdicated responsibility. Okay. So it's our responsibility to know about this shit. It's our duty and responsibility to the people in our lives that are dependent on us to be educated enough to fucking do something about this, to be an educated kind of consumer. I'm aware that the industry wants to make it like super complicated and complex because it justifies, fees. I'm aware it's not that super complicated. Now, once you get into higher level tax strategies and stuff, yeah, you probably need somebody to help you. But as far as like initially, it's not that complicated. Just read some books. Some books that I would suggest reading. Somebody mentioned it here. Cash Flow Quadrant. Yeah, it grows tax deferred, but here's the problem, Dave. You can't fucking touch it till you're 59 and a half. You're saving for a time that you may not even get to. So there's no freedom in that, bro. Like, and there's a 10% penalty if you go and try to access it. So, Cash Flow Quadrant by Kiyosaki. Okay. Hey, I don't fuck around, bro. I read this shit. This isn't like, people who produce very favorable outcomes, they don't step in shit, guys. They don't like win the lottery. They're very, very intentional about their goals and objectives. When I was 26, I'm like, yo, I want to be financially free and independent by the time I'm 40. I was very intentional about it. This book is an awesome book. Another book that I would recommend to you is Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's an oldie but a goodie. It's really good. Yeah, and somebody just asked, Jose, we're about to get to that, how EXP compares, because it actually has superseded all the other stuff that we did in a short period of time. So I just want to give people some resources. So Cash Flow Quadrant is a good book. Rich Dad Poor Dad is a really good book. The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins, super good book. Another book is called A Random Walk Down Wall Street. Also a very good book. If you read those two books, The Simple Path to Wealth and A Random Walk Down Wall Street, you'll probably know more than 95% of the population with regards to equities. Another good book is Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. Also a very good book to read. And then there's one called, it's like the Jack Bogle Guide to Investing. That's also a really good book. Jack Bogle founded Vanguard, which revolutionized, how people invest in equities as far as he created the first index fund. So that's a really awesome kind of assignment for you guys to become serious students so you can educate yourself. And then another really good tool is Jose's podcast, bro. Like he's interviewing people all the time on all these different ways of investing in real estate and kind of creative and things of that nature. You just have to equip yourself with information. So that way you can decide which strategy and approach is in alignment with your natural disposition and the level of risk that you feel comfortable taking. And then just take action, right? Because you have to invest. You can't avoid it.
And the only thing I was going to say to Laura is what tools or systems. What I was going to say is that my main investment strategy when I invest in real estate is I invest in real estate that produces positive cash flow. My philosophy around that has been that if you invest in properties with negative cash flow or properties that break out even, then you're just banking on appreciation, which is basically speculating that the marketplace is going to go up. And the only way that you win is if the real estate market goes up, but you have to sell in order to capitalize on that. So instead, what I focused on is properties that produce positive cash flow, knowing that whether the market goes up or the market goes down, I'm still receiving a stream of income every single month.
Yeah, the game is cash flow, guys. Like, listen, I'll leave you like.
I think that's true, though.
Like a super nugget is that money in the bank doesn't alleviate financial stress. Cash flow does. It took me 12 years to learn that. Right. So having your a certain amount in your retirement account doesn't alleviate financial stress. Monthly cash flow does. So you have to ask yourself a question. Which would I rather have? I don't know, $100,000 in the bank or $5,000 a month in residual income? I'd rather have $5,000 a month in residual income. Okay. So the game is buying assets that pay for the four majors: housing, transportation, food, and insurance. Those are the things that eat up 80% of Americans' money. So then you just play a game. How much does it cost to eat? It costs like $1,500 a month for my family. Great. How much would I need to invest? What are the vehicles that would throw off the $1,500 so I could look at my wife and say, we never have to worry about paying for groceries ever again for the rest of our life? Because it's paid for by these investments. And then I go to transportation. How much does it cost? You say your payments, whatever it is, $400 or $500 plus insurance. How much would I need to invest to have that paid by an asset? And so on and so forth. Okay. Because we say that I really do believe that financial freedom and independence is like the last freedom. we say that we're free, like, oh, we live in a free country. You're free to abide by the rules, is what you're free to do. And when you have resources, you can do what you want, when you want, how you want, with who you want. I was telling Carla, it's so interesting. So like when they shut all the airplanes down with COVID, if you owned an airplane, you can still do whatever the fuck you wanted. You can go where you want it. You can fly where you want it. If you could afford to fly private, you could pick up your family and leave somewhere. But if you couldn't, they shut everything else down, you can't, right? So I think it's our duty and obligation. I really do. That's the way that I view it, to really have this on lock, because I know my children didn't ask to be brought into the world, and it's my duty and obligation to have my shit together, right? And be a source where then, because as I grow more, I can give more, right? I can be charitable to things I want to be charitable with. I can help out people that need help. But the Good Samaritan had more than just good intention, ladies and gentlemen. They had to have money. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So what we're going to do now is we hope that this has been like super helpful and useful to you. We hope you got tremendous amounts of value. Yeah, repost the systems link. Okay, my bad. Hell yeah, team. What we're going to do now is we're going to shift over to having a conversation. I just reposted the systems link about EXP, the model, the opportunity, right? To see if this makes sense for you and your family and your business, and how it ties in specifically to this topic today, right? So I highly recommend that you stick around. If you don't have interest in that, it's okay. Look at me. We love you anyway. Okay. We hope you got tremendous amounts of value. We look forward to adding value in the future. I would highly recommend, why are my posts going through? That's weird. I would highly recommend that, hold on, let me drop it in the comments maybe, or the Q&A. Q&A is open. Hold on. I'm dropping it in the chat. I don't know why you guys aren't seeing it. Oh, hold on. That's probably why. Everybody. Here you go. Bam. How about that? So I highly recommend that you stick around for two reasons. One, you have to ask yourself a question. Okay. The first question is have I found the opportunity that's going to take care of me and my family for the rest of my life? The second question is am I even looking for it? If I can't answer the first and the second question, it's like, how could I really go back to my family? It's like, look, I haven't found the thing that's going to take care of us for the rest of our life, and I'm not looking for it. The second reason I would suggest that you highly stick around is that the most expensive thing you can own is a closed mind. And I was closed off for a full year. I am forever grateful for my fucking brother from another mother, the sexy Mexican, for a year just pestering me. Be like, bro, you gotta look at this shit. You gotta look at this shit. And I was like, nope. Because I owned part of an office at the time. And this is part of this triangulating ideas of believable people. Because here's what I know to be true. Once you see what I'm about to show you, if you are currently not with EXP, once it is explained to you in a way that's clear and concise, if you are hardworking, ambitious, and smart, you will not be able to unsee this after you see it. Okay? So with that, I'm going to share my screen and we'll get into this conversation. So, why is EXP the fastest growing real estate company of all time? They've gone from 20,000 agents to 88,000 agents in 2.5 years. Okay. Well, what if you could never pay for coaching ever again, training or technology? Would that be cool? Yeah, that would be awesome. And me and Jose, we see some really like harsh reality of the real estate business is that most agents are not planning for their financial future. They're essentially on a transaction treadmill. Okay. They're stuck in the short game of real estate, which is fine. It's a wonderful way of raising cash, as I mentioned. But the problem is like we said, it doesn't have a compounding component. So they really have no exit, right? And they're not being coached. So you have agents that are not being coached, and 80% of agents don't have an assistant. So they have no coaching or guidance. And the coaching or guidance that they do have is probably from a middle manager who did like 2 million in volume. So it's not high level. And they don't have help, right? And they don't have systems in place. That's why that systems course that we dropped is so important. So why is EXP disrupting the industry so massively? Well, here's why. Okay. We've all lived through some seismic shifts in the way that we live, okay, and operate. I'm 42 years old, depending on how old you are. What I'm about to share with you, if you reflect on it, you'll see. So I had to explain to my son what Blockbuster was the other day. He had no idea what it was. Okay. And what I'm aware of is Blockbuster was a $6 billion company, billion with a B, blah, 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 blah. They dominated the kind of movie rental business. And they believed that people were always going to come to a physical store to get movies, and they would always agree to pay $5 late fees. And then a technology came around that completely disrupted their business model. Drop in the chat what was the technology that disrupted their business? Drop in the chat what you think it was. Let me see. Is anybody paying attention? Drop in the chat what you think was the technology that disrupted Blockbuster's business. It was Netflix, but what technology allowed Netflix to actually function? It's the internet. There you go, Drobnik. It's the internet. That's exactly right. Now, somebody said streaming, but what allows streaming to happen? It's the internet. That's the technology. So look, brick and mortar to anytime, anywhere. Doesn't matter where you are on planet Earth, you can get your movies, okay? I used to work for a company called Circuit City in Plantation, Florida. It was a dope job. It's my first sales job. It was like a purely commission-based job where you sold electronics. They taught me how to sell the extra warranty and what to say and how to say it and that sort of thing. And you get extra commissions if you did. It was a cool job. Well, Amazon comes around, they get into the electronics game, and what happens to Circuit City? They disappear off the planet. What is the underlying technology that's shifting from brick and mortar to anytime, anywhere? The internet. And that's exactly what's happening with traditional brokerage firms. Because here's the question that I have for you, okay? Listen to me very closely. If you were selling real estate between 2020 and 2021, did any of you go to your office? The answer is no. And here's my next question to you. Did it matter? The answer is also no. So we were all doing this model, right? Of no physical locations and anytime, anywhere. We were all doing the EXP model. We just didn't call it that. And we all had the same, but you're still paying for the office. You still have a split that never caps. Like you still have all of those fixed expenses. Okay. So check this out. The CEO of Blockbuster actually said this out loud. Okay. Neither Redbox nor Netflix are even on our radar screen in terms of competition. Dude, is that not the height of exuberance? The height of overconfidence? like just the audaciousness of hallucinating that things are always going to be the same. That did not age well. Okay. And what I'm aware of too is that the CEO of Netflix, not once, twice tried to sell Netflix to Blockbuster. He tracked that guy down at a ski lodge and said, hey, I'm going to try to sell you Netflix. You know how much he offered Netflix to him for? $50 million. Are you kidding me? And he laughed at him like, get away from me, bro. Come on, man. And now Blockbuster has disappeared off the planet and Netflix is like, I don't know, like $100 billion company. Listen, our mind is what actually sees, not our eyes. If my mind is blind to the possibility, my eyes will be blind to the opportunity. The CEO of Netflix, his mind was blind to the possibility of streaming, so his eyes were blind to the fucking opportunity. He could have bought Netflix for $50 million, but he didn't see it.
And he would have gone down as one of the best moves ever.
Bro, he would have wrote books. He would have been a consultant. Like, he would have been the fucking man for the rest of his life. Instead, we're like, yeah, bro, that was pretty dumb.
But I think it's important when you say, and this is important to me, is like a lot of people think that they can see with their eyes, but you actually can't see with your eyes. You see with your mind, meaning if your mind is not open to it, your eyes won't be able to see it.
That's exactly right, bro. And that's what was true for me for a whole year. My mind was blind to the possibility. My eyes were blind to the opportunity. Like I had the right idea of leverage and having multiple streams of income and being vertically integrated. I was just in the wrong vehicle. But I had a willingness to change my mind. A lot of people don't.
And a lot of times it can be even ego. Like it's almost like sometimes like somebody else pitches an idea to somebody and it's like, nah, like I'm good.
And somebody could have easily, because like, you know, we've had like this, our relationship started off like mentor mentee, like coach, kind of coachee. And a lot of people, and now we're more like we collaborate with each other and we learn from each other. What's interesting is there's a lot of people in my position who would have been like, nah, bro, like I'm the fucking, nah, like
I'm the mentor.
I'm the mentor. You're the fucking little guy. You know what I mean? No, instead I was like, yep, I was aware that I had an accurate assessment of reality in terms of needing more leverage and having a vehicle that compounds and residual. I also became acutely aware that I was in the wrong vehicle. I owned part of an office and I thought that was the way, but then I looked behind the curtain. I'm like, there's no fucking money here. Right. And I realized I was in a Honda, and I don't know about you guys. This is the first time you're interacting with me. I'm not a Honda kind of guy. I'm a Ferrari kind of guy. Right. And I wanted to get in a Ferrari.
And I think this is important. I think a lot of people haven't had that experience where they actually look into the financials for their own brokerage and realize that like the brokerage model, the traditional brokerage model doesn't make a lot of money.
No.
Hence, like they don't have enough profit share like a company like Keller Williams to give out because the margins are so thin because of the way that it's structured.
Yeah, and the way it's structured is they're based on physical offices that cost $40,000 or $50,000 a month to run.
Yep.
And that's why you're seeing now brokerages are raising fees because the volume's gone down due to market gyrations, you know, maybe 30% in certain areas. You have 1.4 million agents chasing 2 million transactions. The last time we did chasing 4 million transactions. The last time we had 4.2 million transactions was in 2012. There was only 990,000 agents and we have 1.4 or 5. So it's like the Hunger Games, right? Lots of those guys are going to go away. But what I'm aware of is it's a fundamental issue with the model. The model has changed. Okay. So, and you just have to, if your mind's blind to the possibility, your eyes will be blind to the opportunity. Okay. So I remember when I was a kid, Jose, there was only 2 places I could stay when I went out of town, either at a friend's house or a hotel. Airbnb comes along. They don't own any real estate. They are a platform. Right?
Powered by the internet.
That disruptive technology called the internet. And now their valuation is larger than Hilton Hotels and they own no real estate. Guys, we have been living through this. You just don't recognize it. But the truth is it's happening in our industry. The question becomes am I going to sit back and watch it happen or am I going to participate? That's the question. And that's the question I ask myself because look, I love Jose like a brother, bro. What I'm also aware of is me and him are very competitive. And when I saw what he was doing, I'm like, this motherfucker, bro. I don't want to sit in my rocking chair when I'm 80, like, you know what? I wonder what would have happened. I wasn't being such a little baby back and I went after it. Okay. Because when I see him on the private jet, I'm like, bro, I want to be on the private jet. I don't want to watch him do it. I'll be happy for him, but I want to be there with him. All right. So here's what traditional real estate is, okay? The way that the model was set up. And a lot of companies still operate this way. There's a king or queen at the top, okay? That king or queen goes out and sells a region. People pay millions of dollars to own a region, right? Those are the nobles. Then the regional owners, they go out and sell individual franchises, like individual offices, right? To the knights, right? The office owners. And then those knights go out and they recruit agents, which are called peasants. The agents do all the work and all the money flows back up to the king. And the agent never owns anything. They're basically renting their business. They are working the land and they never own the land. Here's a question I have for you, okay? At the end of your working year this year, other than your real estate commissions, what will you have to show for it? Nothing. You know what I got for grossing $1 million in a calendar year? Fucking piece of plastic, guys. That's it. And a hat. Yeah, Jose got him too. He's looking for him. There you go. Just a piece of plastic. That's it. There it is. Yay!
18th place for California.
Hey! It came with no money, right? Just checking.
Nope. 0.
Oh, just a little piece of plastic.
It's pretty heavy though.
Yeah, it can hold down pieces of paper. Pretty good. Hold down a book.
It's pretty heavy.
Yeah. So that's the traditional model that a lot of you guys settle for. Okay, or what we settle for as agents. Then another company came along and they're like, okay, well, maybe we can share in the profits. And that wasn't out of benevolence, by the way. What happened was that half the company left And the owner of that company sat people down and were like, hey, what do we need to do? It's like, well, we want it to be transparent. We want to see the books and we want to share in the profit. He was like, fine. And that revolutionized the game. Okay. That's the company with Red, right? That I was a part of for 15 years. I own part of an office. They went to 160, 170,000 agents because it provided agents, those peasants, an opportunity to own something, right? Which no other kind of model had done before. Fine. But again, then the internet comes along. And what the internet allows EXP to do is you get rid of the regional owners, you get rid of the owner of the office, you get rid of the staff and all the costs that it costs to run a company, and it makes the agent the owner, okay? And it compensates you like an owner, right? So if you're taking notes, write this down. You will never get rich renting your time. You must own equity. So here's the question that I have for you guys. Is there any, if you are not already with EXP, is there any possible way that you can become an owner in the company that you work for? And I know the answer to that. It's emphatically no. And again, you're never going to get rich selling time for money. You must own equity. Okay. And EXP as a model, they not only allow you to earn equity, they compensate you like an owner through equity and through the revenue share opportunity, but the brokerage is in the cloud. Remember, the internet, that's the thing that was disrupting all those other industries, is the internet. So the brokerage is in the cloud, and what allows it to happen is the internet. You eliminate all of the monthly expenses, and then you can compensate the agents like owners. And I don't know about you guys, I want to be compensated like an owner. Drop in the chat if you would like to be compensated as an owner. Drop in the chat if that would be nice, considering you're doing all the fucking work. Okay. So, yes, David says, yes, yes, yes. All right. So, hold on. So you need leverage. Okay. We don't live in a world of haves and have-nots. We don't live in a world of rich and poor. We live in a world of people who have leverage and people who don't. One is labor. So, you know, if you have a team or people that work with you or for you. 2 is capital. Do you have money working for you, right? 4 is content, and 5 is software. So this vehicle allows you multiple forms of leverage, which is equity, because you become an owner, and the rev share thing. That allows you to be compensated and can create a residual stream of income very quickly that can trump trade, you know, all of the money that you invest in assets. Now, the reason why and I'll show you with financial transparency what it's done for me. So the reason why me and Jose are so excited about this is this curve, okay? It's the innovation curve. So when something's brand new, that's where the innovators are. So when Elon Musk told people that like everybody's going to drive electric cars in the future 10 years ago, everybody's like, nah, I don't know. It sounds kind of crazy to me. Anybody besides me noticing a lot of Teslas on the road? Mm-hmm. You know, 9 out of people don't own a Tesla. You think Tesla still has room to grow?
Yeah.
Hey, you know what the exciting part is, Jose? 9 out of 10 agents aren't with EXP. Everybody knows about it, but 9 out of 10, just like everybody knows about Tesla. So there's a monster room to grow. Now, the next stage are the early adopters. They have a higher tolerance for risk, okay? And they just jump in. That's 13.5% of the growth. The early majority, they have a lower tolerance for risk. They need enough people to do it for them to feel safe. Then they'll do it. That's 34% of the growth. The late majority, they have FOMO. They feel like they're missing out. That's 34% of the growth. And then you have laggers, those people who still have flip phones, okay? But check this out, 68% of all of the growth is between the early majority and late majority. I believe that where this opportunity is the beginning of the early majority. You have enough agents, enough top producing agents like myself and Jose and many others, thousands of others, that have decided to make this change where enough people have done it that they feel that it's safe. So that's an unbelievable opportunity, and here's why. If you ride a wave, okay, that has a tremendous amount of momentum, you can do more in 3 or 5 years than you could in a whole lifetime because you have so much momentum pushing behind you, okay? So is this gonna be you? Okay, you be sitting there doing open houses, talking on the phone because you just love real estate. Whenever anybody says it to me, I'm like, God, you haven't dealt with enough people, bro. What do you mean? It's disgusting. I need to have an exit strategy. I need to have a plan. Okay. Now this comes from the cash flow quadrant. Again, that great book I just showed you. E, S, B, and I, employee, self-employed, business owner, investor. If you are not with EXP, you are only on the left side of the quadrant. You are an employee or self-employed. Okay. That's where you get taxed the most, least tax advantages there, highest taxed income. If you decided to partner with us with EXP, you move into the B and I category, because the B is you become a business owner because you get equity in the actual mothership. You own part of the actual company when you do transactions. They reward you with stock for doing it. They are a publicly traded company with zero debt that are profitable as a real estate company right now, where there's only they're one of maybe two that are profitable at the moment. And their stock pays a dividend. Okay. And then you also have an investor, which is the massive power of leverage, right? Not only by owning equity, but the rev share opportunity. So think about this. Me and Jose, we just did this whole talk about investing money, and we've invested a lot of money in order to produce a certain amount of residual income, but most people don't really think about the numbers. So they'll say yeah, like 10,000 a month in residual. I'm like, great, that's $2.4 million invested at 5%. 20,000, great, that's $4.8 million invested at 5%. They don't do the math. So if you want to really get down to the nitty gritty, ask yourself, what's my freedom number? What's the number that I could get to that once I get to there, I would work because I wanted to, not because I had to? Maybe it's 10,000 for you. I think 10,000 is a pretty strong number for most people. Okay, it would cover housing, transportation, food, and insurance for most people. That's $2.4 million invested at 5%. So ask yourself a question. How much of that have you invested already? Okay. And how much do you still need to invest? And how much would you need to invest each year for you to accomplish that in the next 10 years? Because now we're being intentional about it, okay? And this is that exercise here. What's my undone number? How much, right? That sort of thing, fine. So this is to show you, for those of you that had asked a question about the returns on this versus other things that we've invested money in. Okay, this is my personal kind of rev share screen. This is cool because it's actually 135 now, but who's counting? I don't know. So I've personally been responsible for 31 agents joining the company. It says 32 there because one was a husband and wife team. Those 31 agents have went out and got 104, I guess. My rev share, not this month, but last month, was $15,874. Now, keep in mind, if you wanted to receive that in residual income in a month, you would need to invest $2.6 million at 6%. In order to have $2.6 million to invest, you need to gross $4.8 million. Probably $5 million, because you'd have to pay taxes, store, and invest. So I've invested millions of dollars in real estate syndications in order to receive about $9,000 a month in residual income. This is more than that in 1 year with no money. That's how unbelievably powerful this is. And the reason is I need you guys to understand, this is not hocus pocus, it's not magic, and it's not a scam. This is YouTube for real estate. YouTube went to their content creators in 2009 and said, hey guys, if you can keep people on our platforms, or 2007, if you can keep people on our platforms, you have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time, we will give you half the revenue that we generate from ads on your content. Is that a scam? No, that's revenue share. That caused them to become the second largest search engine in the world. The first largest is Google, and Google owns YouTube. Okay. What EXP does is they say to their agents, if you can bring people to our platform, which that's all brokerages is a platform to process transactions, and they do deals, they are productive, we will give you a portion of the revenue that they send back to us, a portion of the $16,000 cap that they send back to us. It's the exact same thing. And keep in mind, the major difference here is this is top line revenue, not below the line revenue. So you don't got to get through $40,000 to $50,000 a month of expenses in order to get it. It's top line. So if they sell anything, you're going to participate. Make sense? And with 80,000 agents, if the biggest company is 170,000, do we have room to run? 100%. That's why me and Jose are so excited about this opportunity. Now, here's one of our senior partners. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, come on, man. That's the big daddy. This is where people's brains explode. So Lars is our senior partner. He has been with the company 2.5 years. He's personally been responsible for 42 agents. That has turned into, this is an old slide, it's now 1,600. And here is an example of a month where he made $85,000 in a month in rev share. Residually. Now
not
I need
a single home.
And I need not participating in those transactions. And I need you guys to understand something. Okay. That is the equivalent of $20 million invested at 6%. In order to get 20 million bucks to invest, you would have to gross probably 50 million. How many people on planet Earth in their life will ever gross $50 million? Like 0.001%. Infinitesimally small. So this opportunity provides us with the capacity to do that in a short period of time, due to the fact that it's a highly leveraged opportunity, due to the fact that it's top line revenue, not below the line revenue. Okay. And it's basically YouTube, essentially. And remember, YouTube made like 15-year-olds millionaires. Makes Mr. Beast one of the most influential, richest guys on the planet. He's like 25 years old. So this has the capacity to do really amazing wonders for you and your family. Because like Jose said when we were having this conversation, like, look, what we're talking about is the way. What we were just talking about, having margin, you know, investing money in things that pay you money. It's fine. It takes a lifetime. It takes 16, 20 years. Okay. It's not that it's bad. You should do it. I would also propose you should do this as well. Do both at the same time, right? That's the goal and objective. Now, some agents say to us, they're like, well, here, let me share the actual screen because this is old. So some agents say to me, well, Aaron, like, I don't want to do the whole attraction thing. We're like, fine, don't. I don't care if you do it or if you don't. Like, it's just this option that's available to you. I would recommend that you probably should pay attention to it. And we make it easy because we do these webinars. All you have to do is like invite people, and, you know, we'll do the presentation and kind of take it from there. So they say, well, I want to do that. I'm like, fine. Well, you're still going to sell real estate, right? Yeah, I'm still going to sell real estate. Well, awesome. Remember that question where I asked you, like, at the end of your working year, what will you have to show for the time that you spent selling real estate other than your commissions? And the answer is nothing, and maybe a piece of plastic. Well, because this is a publicly traded company, guys, they reward you with stock for doing your job. Okay. So they give you 5 different ways to earn equity, actually 6. So if you sell your first property, when you sell your first property in a calendar year, they give you $200 in equity. Okay. When one of your partners sells a property, if you invite somebody to the company, they put you down as the reason why they joined. When they sell their first property, happens once, you get $400 in equity. When you cap, they give you $300 in equity. When you do 80,000 in gross commissioned income plus 20 transactions on top, they'll give you half of your cap, half of the $16,000 back in stock every single year that you do that. If you do 80,000 in GCI plus 20 deals on top, and you go to a couple EXP events a year and you teach some classes in their metaverse, they'll give you the full $16,000 back in stock every single year that you do that. And they'll allow you to use 5% of your commissions to buy stock at a 10% discount. So check this out. I was a top agent in a company for 15 years. I owned part of the office. When I left that company, how much money do you guys think I left with? Drop in the chat how much money you think I left with after 15 years in owning part of the company. Yep, you're right, David. 0, nothing. I had a hat and the piece of plastic I just showed you. So what I'm about to do now is I'm going to share my screen. And again, it's not to make it about me. It's just financial transparency. I want you to see that this is real. It's not hocus pocus. Okay. So I've been with the company again for 1 year and 1 month. I did the 80,000 in GCI plus 20 deals on top. So I was awarded $8,000 in stock. Then I also have partners that have sold property. So I received $400 award. So the current value of the stock that I've received in 1 year and 1 month is $25,000. My cap is $16,000, guys. I've also used 5% of my commissions to buy stock at a 10% discount. So the current value is $56,000. So you mean to tell me if I was doing this for 15 years, I would have walked away with almost $500,000, but instead I walked away with a hat and a piece of plastic? Wow. That's unbelievable. And look here, if we get into the nitty gritty in terms of financial transparency, when I did my first transaction in May, I joined the company in May of last year. First deal closed in June. I received $200 in stock at $11.77 a share. Well, it's gone up. Now I'm aware that fluctuates as time progresses, but now it's currently trading at like $18 or $19 a share. So that means that's worth $311. One of my partners in Indiana sold a property. So I received $400 in stock at $11.77 a share. It's now worth $623. You can see here where I received the award for $8,000 in November, the Icon Award for doing 20,000 or 80,000 in commissions plus 20 deals on top. I received $8,000 in stock at $13.20 a share. It's now at 18 or 19, so that's worth $11,000. So again, you guys just have to ask yourself a question, like, what at the end of your working year, what do you have to show for it? Are you an actual owner in the company that you're helping somebody to build? Or if they decide to sell it, you're going to get nothing. And the truth is that's probably what it is. Remember how I share with you, if you're smart and ambitious and hardworking, once you see this, you can't unsee it. Once you see it, you're not going to be able to unsee it. So Jose, if you could, I'm going to share my screen again and just go over with them what comes with partnership. Because, anybody who's with the company, they can provide you access to the brokerage. The question is what are they offering above and beyond just access to the brokerage firm, right? So it becomes increasingly important who you partner with. Now, before Jose does this, I just want to ask you this question. What seems more realistic for you to earn and save $4.8 to $7.2 million in the next 20 to 30 years, or to attract 10 or 15 agents in the next 2 to 3 years? Which seems like a more simple path to wealth that has a higher degree of probability of you accomplishing your goals and objectives? So with that, Jose, if you could talk about what comes with partnership.
Got it. So when I joined real estate, one of the things that I said to myself is, not only how can we provide like a good value proposition with EXP, but how can we add additional value to our EXP partners? Meaning, like, what can we offer that maybe like a traditional brokerage isn't offering, or what can we offer to make our partners more successful? What I tell people is that the system only works if we actually provide value. Meaning, if you join the company and you leave, it doesn't help anybody. Meaning, if you join the company, we help you and we help you grow, then the system works. So what Aaron, I, and some of our senior partners committed to doing is that we have group coaching calls. So Aaron has a free call that he normally charges $250 per month to be on it. He throws that in. He has that on Wednesdays. I have a free call as well too on Fridays that I normally talk about investing or how to take listings in high volume. That's absolutely free. Our senior partner, Lars, has a call on business growing. We have a business partner called AJ Maida. He's got a call on agent recruiting. So basically the vision for the company is that we partner up with different people that add different valuable things, and we offer those for free. So if you're looking to learn about social media, we've got a guy that does that. If you're looking to join my university, we've got a guy I can help you guys with that. Aaron's got a call. We've got Jason Walters with technology. So this is called Morales Group University. This is a university that's only available to EXP agents. Basically what it is I started recording myself maybe like 5 years ago. And what I did in those recordings is I just recorded like real life situations of real life selling situations, how to follow up with leads, expires for sale by owners, probates. And I basically put it on a university that you can go in there at any time and listen to any of these items at your own leisure. So the reason I wanted to do something like that is it's almost like shadowing me for the last 5 years and like listening to like real life conversations that I'm having with people. It's all uploaded in the university. Next slide. This is the real estate B school. So this is Lars. He wrote a book called Scale or Die. He's a real estate business coach. So he basically coaches some of the top teams across the country. He's coached teams that have done 100 deals, 200 deals, 300 deals, 500 deals, 1,000 deals. He's personally had a team that did anywhere from 200 to 500 deals a year. So basically you get access to his university as well too, which teaches you how to grow a real estate business if that's the direction that you want to go in. So Aaron was my real estate coach as it relates to selling real estate in high volume. Lars was my business coach as it relates to setting up systems, procedures, and growing a real estate business. One of the things that I did as well too that I think is helpful is before I signed up to EXP, I said, okay, who can add massive value to our partners? So I was very strategic as to which downline I went under. I had plenty of friends that were with EXP, but if I didn't feel that they were going to help our partners grow, I didn't even consider them as a partner. So the reason I partnered up with Lars is I felt that Lars could provide tremendous value to our partners, and Lars can provide coaching to people looking to grow real estate teams, basically.
Yeah. So if you have two things happen when we get to this point in the conversation. Okay. As Jose mentioned, just to be clear, what you're getting is access to this value stack. You get access to multi-millionaires in the space of real estate with 5,000 combined transactions. They're giving you coaching and training, role play groups, mastermind groups, access to online universities, absolutely free. That would normally cost you thousands of dollars a month. Okay, that's the first thing you're getting. Second thing you're getting is access to what the brokerage provides in terms of the equity and in terms of the agent attraction component and rev share. I do a call 2 times a month, specifically for people in the organization, teaching them about attraction. You know, I've recruited 135 agents in 12 months. So, you know, we have a SOP on how to do that, and we're producing favorable outcomes. So it would be a privilege and a pleasure to partner with you. What I'm aware of is when we get to this point in the conversation, one of 2 things happen. One is people say, holy smokes, that is amazing. I love the fact that I get all that coaching and training for free, plus the equity, plus the rev share. I'm ready to begin the onboarding process right now. If that is you and somebody invited you to this call, reach out to the person that invited you and say, hey, I'm ready to go. I want to begin the onboarding process. If somebody did not reach out to you or did not invite you here, then I'm going to share here where you can book a call with me. Okay. And we can have a conversation, confidential conversation, look at numbers, see if it makes sense for you and your family and your business. Other people say like, well, all this makes sense to me. I want to talk to my significant other. I want to think about it. And that's okay too. We would, support you, whatever you decide to do. If that is you, my suggestion is that you take action while kind of the spirit strikes you, because otherwise you end up with like the law of diminishing intent, where you intend to do something, but then as time progresses, it just gets weaker and weaker and weaker. So if it is something that you want to look into it like right away, right? Go with that energy, go with that spirit, and whatever you decide, whether you decide to do it or you don't, when it strikes you, that's the time to take action. So again, me and Jose really, really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. We hope you got tremendous amounts of value. It would be a privilege and a pleasure to partner with you. In us, you are getting, a team that is 1,000% committed to adding tremendous amounts of value, way more value than we receive in return. And we're going to build this thing to 5,000. So we'd love you to be a part of it. Let's go. Let's grow. We appreciate you. Drop in the chat if you found this helpful. Drop in the chat if this was fire to you. Barbara Streisand. You realize if you make $1 million a year in real estate, you're in the top 0.1% of all real estate agents in the whole fucking country? 0.1, not 1%, 0.1. There's a story of this guy, he climbed like, I was a professional climber.